Welcome back. How do I stop late night fast food? Or if you're feeling like your eating habits are out of control or the binging never ends, we're going to talk about it in this video. Saw this online, see if you can relate to it. I did intermittent fasting today. I had one big meal that was about 1,400 calories. It was all grilled meat and chicken with a bit of bread. I was doing so well. I was getting ready to sleep at 10 p.m. At 10:30, I ordered a fish fillet, medium fries, nuggets, and a McFlurry from McDonald's. Now I'm laying here with a terrible stomach ache. I didn't even enjoy the meal. I just keep doing this to myself, and I hate myself these days. I've been so hopeless about losing weight. I worked out 3 times this week. At least I did that. The hopelessness kicks in at night. Maybe I should start meal prepping so I stop ordering out every day. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to the store and only get healthy stuff for my house. I'm on the verge of tears right now. I just keep doing this to myself and I feel bad for all the time that passes by. Tomorrow's a new day. I'll try better. How did you guys stop binging so bad? Everyone says to identify the trigger, but honestly, food just tastes good. And I'm just a fat as even when I'm not depressed. I mistyped that. Cravings get so bad, and now that I have my own money to spend, I never tell myself no. So click like if that's something that you can relate to. It's a very unfortunate story, but it's very common. You see this a lot if you're in weight loss forums or if you make your career around helping people lose weight. You have to understand where people are in order to support them. And that's something I do here. And I understand that when you get stuck like that, you don't lose weight, you feel awful, you wonder what's wrong with you, you're on the verge of tears, and it's terrible. It's a terrible way to feel based on how you're eating. And what I want to do is help people lead a healthy, fulfilling life of their dreams. So that's why I have this channel. And we're going to talk about how to work to do this if you're feeling like the binging never ends, in a way that's realistic and sustainable for you. So if it's your first time here, my name is Reggie. I'm the founder of Fit for Freelance, where I build adaptive business leaders through compassionate health coaching. Vision and focus and practice are 3 parts of the guilt-free framework. This video is mostly about the focus, realistic focus, and creating sustainable practice for your health changes. So you understand how to avoid ordering late night, takeout, fast food, delivery, Uber Eats, all that stuff, McDonald's, double entrees, all that stuff. Now let's start with the compassionate health coaching. That's what it's all about. Otherwise, you just feel bad about yourself and then you don't forgive yourself and you're probably going to make the same mistakes. What I want to say is probably nothing wrong with you and you've just picked a lame diet that makes you feel bad about yourself. Click like if that's something you can relate to. If you've ever done that before and you're looking to make a change, that is a big message. All right. Another thing to point out, if you think you have depression or any mental health issues or challenges, get professional mental health support. It'll help your mind and also help you make healthy choices that support your weight goals. If your mind isn't right, then it's a lot harder to think through these things step by step, and you can make unhelpful decisions. You can be a little bit erratic, rightfully so, because you don't have the mental health support that you need for the condition. Something else to point out, there's a difference between binging and regular hunger. Now, people do lump these together and they do have a similar experience. However, a lot of times your eating habits are related to how your body's feeling. And if you are just hungry because you haven't eaten enough for your needs, that could be experienced as a binge, but I wouldn't identify that without a professional diagnosis, right? It's not like binge eating. It's just eating a lot because you're hungry, and that's a normal response to feeling hungry. You're like, okay, like I got to eat more. You get your belly grumbling, and you got to get more food. So a difference between telling yourself no versus doing what you actually want based on what you find important. That's another issue that we're going to talk about in this video. When you're talking about, now they have their own money, so they don't have to say no. There's no monetary restriction. Same time, you want to understand what you want so you can say yes more to the things that you want, what the life you want to build looks like, your health choices, all that stuff. Say yes to that more often and say no to things that don't support that. So instead of telling yourself no, tell yourself yes for the things that you want. And they also said start meal prepping so you have healthy food to eat instead of eating McDonald's delivery. Great strategy. Links below for meal templates. I've got the plant-based snack pack. I've got the high protein guide. I've got 28 and 30-day meal plans with done for you grocery lists that make that really easy. Let's continue here. Something to consider: if you didn't like your late night experience, how likely are you to repeat it? If you realize something is a bad idea and you don't want to do it again, it's a lesson learned. So this person is describing they had a stomach ache, they feel awful, they didn't enjoy the food, and that is a consequence. This is a collection of consequences to note that could factor into the next time you're in a similar situation as this. This is something I do with my experience in positive behavior support is we look at the consequences of what happened and see if that was effective for what you wanted. So this person ordered a bunch of takeout food and then they had a stomach ache. Was that effective? Were they hungry? Did they just overeat because they were rebelling? Like, what was the intention of that behavior to order those foods at that time? Right? And does it match? So if you realize like, oh, I don't feel good, I didn't like how that felt, then you're not going to do that again. However, if you like some element of it or it was effective, you will probably repeat this behavior. So if you felt really hungry, you ordered a bunch of food, and then for a little while you felt less hungry, or you felt like you were in charge of your eating habits instead of telling yourself no, then that's what makes it rewarding. That's what makes it more likely to repeat. And it could be a bigger factor than the stomach ache and the pain that you're experiencing. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. So overall, it was effective if you were hungry or wanted to feel in charge of your eating habits or any number of things. So this is what I do. I break it down so you understand why you do the things that you do. So then you can make sure it matches what you want for yourself. It's a big part of a sustainable practice is making adjustments to things when they don't work or they don't match your goals or it's not effective for you. So instead of, a diet that makes you feel like you're not in charge, or a diet that leaves you hungry, or a crash diet, or something about intermittent fasting that you don't quite understand that leaves you ordering fast food late at night, what we want to do is pick a diet that's realistic and it works with your lifestyle and what you want for your life. So eating 1,400 calories on one meal a day probably wouldn't be good for most people. I never recommend that to my clients. That is an approach that may be effective to some people, but you're not every person that would work for. You have to pick what works for your lifestyle and what you want for yourself. And then we want to base that on your current health habits and weight instead of picking a calorie target that you haphazardly picked or that you heard might be a good goal. So 1,400, we don't have any other context for this person's height or weight or activity levels or what they like to do. What we want to do instead is base it on the habits that they had before they started this diet, because that is how you make sustainable changes from a baseline instead of picking something randomly. You know what I'm saying? You don't just start. It's not like you started eating something altogether at like a certain level. You already had habits that were just part of your lifestyle before you wanted to make changes. So if you were eating whatever you wanted all the time, then you might have been gaining weight. And you realize like, I got to make some changes or I'm not going to lose weight. I'm going to keep gaining weight, right? So when you make changes, you want to make changes based on those previous habits so that you can shift to maintaining your weight for a little bit or start losing weight gradually. When you shift to a random calorie target like 1,200 or 1,400, then you can be making a huge change. That could be like half as many calories, and that can lead you to feel really hungry and not in control of your choices. And then that's what leads you to order these foods. So you want to start from where you are and then make changes based on that, based on your current health habits and weight. Same with like New Year's resolutions or people when they decide to get a gym, they're just going to go from not going to the gym at all to suddenly going 6 days a week. And that can be really challenging as well. So we want to base your changes on your current health habits when it comes to eating and exercise. Another tip I have is focus on healthy eating, especially eating enough fiber so that you're less hungry and you don't overeat high fat foods. People get stuck with this all the time when this person mentioned they just ate a bunch of meat, and that could be delicious. It's just the thing is the fiber is what can help you feel satisfied. So then you don't have to eat as much food or such a large volume of food. All right. And then if you're extra hungry, what happens? You tend to crave more fat in your food because your body finds those foods very satisfying and energizing and like rewarding. So if like you miss breakfast or you're skipping meals or you're on some diet that's super restrictive, then your next meal you're more likely to get like a pizza or something with some fries in it or something that's quick to eat. However, those foods are super calorie dense. They don't fill your stomach up as much. They don't hit those stomach stretch receptors the same way. They don't signal that you're full, you digest it faster, and then you're hungry again sooner, or you can eat more of the high calorie foods if you don't get enough fiber. So, focus on healthy eating when you're trying to change your diet for weight loss, especially getting enough fiber, because that is essential. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. So if you want help understanding healthy eating, you can book a call with me below. I'd love to teach you all about it. And if you want to learn how to base your calorie target so sustainable, it doesn't leave you hungry, feeling bad, crying, eating late night foods, feeling terrible, all that stuff. If you want help with that, I have another video that you would like. Warning, are you about to start a low calorie diet? That way you can calculate a realistic number that you can sustain. I'll put that video right here. So let me know in the comments what you think. If this helps, do you think differently about late night fast food? And subscribe to the channel for more content. As always, keep practicing. Peace.